Hello, welcome to or welcome back to my channel. In today's video, we're going to talk about 5 fantasy book series that I think would be perfect to read this fall. Fall is the perfect time to pick up any fantasy book. I read fantasy all year round, but to me, fall is the best time to read fantasy. There's just something about fall that really just takes fantasy up another level. It's cozy, it's dark, it's mysterious. I just get in that mood. So we're going to start off strong here. The first book series... Okay, I'm about to drop all of these. The first book series that I would recommend is the Crave series by Tracy Wolff. And I don't see these books ever talked about on Booktube or Book Talk or Bookstagram, but I read these a few years ago and I absolutely love them. These books are more paranormal romancy, and there are 6 total, and yes, they are quite chunky, but they are a fairly quick read. So this series follows a girl named Grace. She's 17 years old and her parents die in a car accident, so she moves to Alaska to live and attend a school where her uncle Finn is headmaster, and it's called Katmere Academy, and it's deep in the Denali wilderness. And when she gets there, her cousin Macy is very welcoming, and turns out Macy is her roommate. She's very vibrant. She kind of reminds me of Enid from Wednesday. She's got this bubbly personality, and she has always got this colorful hair and dresses in very vibrant, colorful clothes. Well, when she first gets there, she encounters this very attractive student named Jackson Vega, and Jackson comes across as rude, and he tries to intimidate Grace and says that there are dangers here at the school. So it turns out that Katmere Academy is a school for supernatural beings. There are werewolves, witches, dragon shifters, and vampires. Jackson is a vampire. So Grace also learns that Jackson had a brother named Hudson who had died, and Jackson struggles with guilt. He blames himself, he blames his mother for the death of Hudson, and come to find out, Jackson is from this very prominent vampire family. In fact, they are like the leaders or the kings and queens of the vampire kingdom, and Jackson is now in line to become heir. So naturally, Jackson and Grace begin to spend more time with each other, and they start to fall for each other despite her being human and him being a vampire, and the dangers that surround the school. Then we learn something about Grace that I don't want to give away. Let's just say she is a very powerful person. So basically that is kind of the summary of the first book, which will open you up to all the other adventures that Grace and her friends go through. I don't want to give much more away. These are actually really good. I really enjoyed these. I just think those would be perfect for fall. And there are 6 total. So you have Crave, Crush, Covet, Court, Charm, and Cherish. And I really like these covers. They're simple. I just like simplicity sometimes. Sometimes simplicity is the best, and these are kind of cool. Next up, we have one of my favorite series, and I'm sure you've probably heard about it or have read it already. Fourth Wing. Fourth Wing, Iron Flame, and Onyx Storm. This is the Empyrean series, and it follows Violet Sorrengail, who becomes a dragon cadet and bonds to one of the most powerful dragons. Well, technically 2 of the most powerful dragons, little baby Indarna. So it follows her, and it follows Xaden Ryerson, who is also a very skilled, very powerful dragon rider, and they fall in love, and there's all kinds of obstacles and challenges that they have to face to save their continent from other beings. There's twists, there's turns, there's cliffhangers. I don't want to give much else away if you haven't read them, but if you have, I hope you enjoyed them as much as I did. And what I like about Fourth Wing is the growth of Violet's character, because in the beginning, she is this very weak girl, like a weakling. Everyone thinks she's weak. She's so small, she's so tiny, she's so weak. Over the course of the books, she just gets stronger and stronger and stronger and proves herself over and over and over. I love that. I love that. Her strength just grows. Her character grows. Next up is my other all-time favorite series that I am sure you've probably heard of as well, but I have to recommend ACOTAR in a fantasy book video. This is one of my favorite series of all time, and right now I'm in the middle. Well, I'm not in the middle of, but I'm on the 4th book of Throne of Glass. I'm getting ready to start Heir of Fire. So you have A Court of Thorns and Roses, A Court of Mist and Fury, A Court of Wings and Ruin, and A Court of Frost and Starlight, and then you have A Court of Silver Flames. ACOTAR is about a human named Feyre who kills a wolf one day, and this beast comes and takes her away and takes her to the Fey realm and to the Spring Court, and from there she meets other members of the Fey, other lords of these different courts, and she faces many challenges, and along with her sisters they eventually start to face challenges with her. And there are battles, and there's love, there's romance. Like, I don't want to give too much away if you haven't read it. It's just really good. And the first book is kind of like a Beauty and the Beast retelling. It reminds me of Beauty and the Beast, so I really enjoyed it. And the 6th book is coming. I'm so excited. This is one of my most adored, cherished book series ever. So if you haven't tried it, or if you've read the first book and kind of gave up on it, keep going. It gets better, and I know you've probably heard that before, but it does. But I personally actually really enjoyed the first book. I loved it, and then I've loved every other one after it. And this little one here, this novella, we just kind of needed a break from all the things that's happened in these 3 books. So Sarah J. Maas gave us a nice little story here. Just so good. And then we get Nesta's story here, which is Feyre's sister. This is so good. Give it a try. Just give it a try. Another series that I would recommend to read this fall is the Powerless series, and you've probably heard about these or seen things about these books or have read them yourself. This series follows a girl named Peyton Gray who fakes having powers to survive the clutches of the kingdom, because the king wants to get rid of anyone who does not have powers and just build up this world of elites who are the most powerful beings. So she enters this trial with elites and other beings, and she also experiences a love triangle between Kit, the prince, and Kai, the enforcer, who is Kit's brother. And then there's this resistance group who is trying to come against the king, or who is making plans to come against the king, because there are ordinaries who the king wants to extinguish. He only wants the elites, which was caused by a plague. The ordinaries have no power. Well, she does something major at the end of the first book that makes her have to escape, and so there's this like cat and mouse game that goes on in the second book, and in the third book there's like this super important thing that happens that I don't want to give away. So Powerless by Lauren Roberts is such a good series. A matter of fact, I just finished Fearless a few days ago, so I have officially finished the series. However, there are 2 little novellas. There's Powerful, which I read, and that was about Peyton's best friend. And then I have Fearful, which I haven't read yet. These are the 3 main: Powerless, Reckless, and Fearless. The final fantasy book series that I would recommend to read in the fall: Divine Rivals and Ruthless Vows by Rebecca Ross. Divine Rivals is the first one. Ruthless Vows is the second one. So this is about a girl named Iris Winnow. Her mother is suffering with addiction. Her brother is missing from the front lines because the gods have started warring again. So to kind of feel better and to just kind of mitigate these worries that Iris has, she writes to her brother while he's away and slips the letters through a wardrobe door, but those letters end up vanishing and getting into the hands of Roman Kit, her rival at the paper where she works. Well, Kit anonymously writes Iris back, so they then get closer together and they write each other back all the time and form this connection using magical typewriters. I love that. And in the second book, Iris and Roman get really heavily involved in the war. Like, they're on the front lines. They are sending what's actually happening back to the paper and printing it, and there's people that do not like that happening. Roman goes missing, and he is held hostage by the god Dacra, and Dacra manipulates Roman into writing articles the way that Dacra sees fit and having those published. And also his memories were taken away. That's kind of what happens. I don't want to say too much. I don't want to give away any spoilers, but I really enjoyed these 2 books. I thought they were sweet and they were very good. And I love the concept of magical typewriters. I think that is so cool. These were unlike anything I've read before. So yeah, those are the 5 fantasy book series that I would recommend reading in the fall. Or if you haven't read them, maybe try them this fall. I really enjoyed each book in each of these series. But comment below if you've read any of these, or if you're thinking about reading any of these. In the meantime, I'll see you in my next video. Bye!